Mr. Producer here, hanging out with you on the show. I got to say, I'm a big fan of email marketing, and at the Entrepreneur Academy, we have created for you to use in your business 6 new monthly newsletters that you can send to your customers. The newsletters will provide timely updates and information about the mowing season and how it pertains to your customer's lawn. The really cool thing is the well-crafted additional upsell information in each letter that's designed to help them purchase additional services for their yard. Whether you include each newsletter, say at the end of the month billing or invoicing, or you included it as a part of a MailChimp monthly newsletter, this powerful training program and resources are going to help you increase communication with your customers, update them on new and relevant topics for their lawn, and even do the talking for you to increase sales and cross-market and upsell new services to your customers. These templates, they are immediately available as a downloadable document. You'll be able to create a customized monthly newsletter campaign for your company that's going to take your sales and professionalism to that next level that we're always talking about. Visit LawntrepreneurAcademy.com. Look for monthly newsletter program. You'll find it in the online store. And let's see here, it's only $25. That's got to be a misprint. Hey, Martha, get Brian on the phone for me.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys. You already know the intro. Come on. I bet half of you guys can already say that whole intro without even thinking twice, but we want to welcome to you guys to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. I'm your host, Brian Fullerton. And guys, today we have another special guest and a guest interview for you today. We have none other than Naylor Taliaferro on the line with us with LCR Media and Cutz Lawn Care. Naylor, what's going on, dude? Welcome to the show.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. Long time no see or hear.
I know.
A little while.
Well, it's been 6 months has been crazy. 2020 has been crazy, dude. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
Between business is booming for everybody. We're all growing like these, pseudo social media companies and podcasting and video companies, and it's and then our actual lawn and landscape business, like we still work,
Right.
And we've been getting a lot of heat, and then now it's getting really cold. You guys have been dealing with a lot of rain, I understand. So yeah. It's been 2020 has been a year to say the least. But for you guys that don't know Naylor, Naylor actually owns a lawn and landscape company down in where are you guys at? Somewhere in Virginia, right?
Yeah. So Central Virginia, Midlothian, but it's close to Richmond, Virginia. People that aren't from here kind of can relate with the name Richmond versus Midlothian, but so Midlothian's a town just outside of Richmond, Virginia. All
right. So you're down in Virginia, and Naylor is one of the OG people that we talk about in the lawn and landscape community. He is one of the brains, if not probably the main brain or the quarterback, as we like to say, on the show with the GIE Plus Expo rally that a lot of you guys see, the GIE rally. So if you guys have ever went to GIE, obviously this year it was postponed and just kind of parlaying into next year. Besides the GIE to go announcements that they're allowing to do this like virtual tour, which is really cool. But usually, Naylor, there's this huge rally, and it was like there's a whole origin story here. I'm sure Naylor's going to go into it, but it's turned into this huge 400 or 500 person event. And so most people know Naylor the most from that, but Naylor's always been in the background coordinating a lot of things and working with a lot of companies to help you guys get a lot of this content out there. And one of the reasons, especially I wanted to get him on the show, besides hearing his startup story and talking about these couple of topics, was the fall road tour that he is partnering with Paul Jamison on, that they're going to be bringing you guys a ton of content over the next 2-3 weeks into the second half of October. So, Naylor, let's do this, man. Get these guys up to speed about your background, maybe like a 2-minute snapshot. I know you just gave a couple of your stats, but can you fill in the cracks for me a little bit about Naylor Taliaferro and Cutz Lawn Care?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Great intro, by the way. I appreciate that. Very, very, very nice of you there.
Yeah.
All the history there was awesome.
Yeah.
But basically, I was in retail management my whole life. Like in college, I started working in retail, just kind of like a lot of people do, right? You just get a part-time job, like wherever, retail, just kind of one of those things, you're a cashier or whatever. And it just quickly grew where I realized, I wanted to make more money and all that and kind of save up. And I got into the management program very quickly and just kind of stuck that out as my career. But I was in college for a few years during that time too. And I was going to college for fine arts. So I've always had that creative mindset. Probably people don't even know that. I don't really talk about that very often, but I went to college for fine arts. So that was kind of that background, which I guess kind of fast forward to YouTube and videography and all that. You can probably see how that's kind of come full circle now. But I kind of got stuck in the retail management land, and I was just doing that, and it was fine for a little while because I was a single guy just killing it, and just working tons of hours and making tons of money, get promoted and going from store to store and company to company. But then I had my wife and we had kids, and things change, right? Your life starts going one direction, and retail completely went in a different direction. I mean, to the point where right before I left retail altogether, it was, the times where there was no more Thanksgiving. It's like, okay, we're just open on Thanksgiving now. Sorry guys that you want to spend time with your family. Things just got crazy, and it was just so much pressure on the brick and mortar stores because of the Amazon and all the online e-commerce out there just blowing up, and everybody. So it just got really crazy, and it was clear that I had no quality of life. I couldn't enjoy anything about my life. Yeah. I was just it was like slavery almost. It was just slave labor, just constantly working. It was crazy because your salary and there's no overtime. You just when push comes to shove, it all comes back on the management, and you just have to stick it out.
Well, I'll say
there's a lot of long hours and stuff. It was crazy.
I was going to say, I worked retail with Circuit City. Do you remember those guys back in the day? And,
yeah.
So, dude, I used to work at Little Caesars when I was a shift manager turning into a co-manager. I was making $9, $10, $11 an hour. It was, decent little money for 18, 19-year-old kid. But then I was like, dude, this isn't going to cut it. So I did the second job thing, right? And what I would do is I would work the morning shifts as a shift manager. I'd open the store, work, 8 to 2:30, 8 to 3:30, 8 to 4. And then I would get off and then either go home and shower or sometimes even go right to Circuit City. And I'd work there because it was retail from 5 to 9, 5 to 10 p.m. That was my part-time job. I don't know if a lot of people know that either. I used to work at Circuit City in the car stereo. That's why I'm a big car nut, and my subwoofers and my speakers, and the in-panel TVs. Yeah, I had all that stuff because we got it way discounted, right? But man, working in retail, it's crazy. What they want you to do for how little you get paid, it's insane. I mean, they Christmas, Thanksgiving, the day after Christmas, nights and weekends. If they call you in and you don't go, they write you up, and you don't want to get written up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's as a peasant, a peon, that's not manager stuff. So I can only imagine what you are going through with the ringer. Talk about quality of life.
Man. Yeah.
So
exactly, man.
So I guess Clean Cutz and your lawn and landscape businesses have been a better outfit and a better life balancer for you than the retail management.
100%. I mean, I always have people ask me where did this even come from? How'd you get into lawn care and landscape and that kind of thing? And I just kind of became that guy, that homeowner by default. I just always had a passion for just grass and being outside and all that. So my house, during the retail days, I would experiment with this type of grass and that type of grass. And there was no YouTube videos or anything like there is now back then. This is probably 15 years ago, and it was just, there's nothing there. There was the Home Depot and Lowe's books, that I would read and, do my research and go get my Scott's this and my Scott's that, and give, all that stuff. But ultimately my lawn was the best or one of the best in the neighborhood. And it was I was that guy that the wives would ask my wife for tips to give their husbands to make their lawn look as nice as mine. So I was that guy.
That's awesome.
Sorry to those other guys, but
yeah.
But I was that guy. I just loved it. So, and I just turned that passion into And it's kind of out of necessity, right? Like I kind of thought about how cool would it be to like just like take care of lawns. But at that time, you think just in 15 years ago, it was kind of like unheard of. There was landscaping companies, but there wasn't guys in trucks and trailers driving around just mowing lawns and treating yards. That just wasn't really a thing, if you think. And it's crazy to think that in just 15 years how things have changed. But so just kind of an idea in my head, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can build this massive landscaping company because that was all that really existed, and it was kind of frowned upon. Like, oh, you've got a landscaping company taking care of your property? Oh my, you know. And now 15 years later, it's like you don't have anyone mowing your lawn. Like, what the heck's wrong with you? Like, it's a complete reversal now. Now it's all about time, right? People value their time, and they want someone to clean their house, someone to mow their lawn, someone this, someone that, someone to cook for them, like all these things, someone to take care of their kids, because their time is so much more valuable. But 15 years ago, it was a totally different mentality. So it wasn't until about 7 years ago, when I really like came to my breaking point in my life because of retail management after working in that environment for 15 plus years and not even really being able to connect with my family. And, you know, my wife telling me, you know, oh, your son walked and this and that. And it was really heartbreaking, to be honest with you, that I missed out on all these awesome things. And, you know, camera phones weren't even as big of a thing, you know, that long ago, 15 years ago, if you think about it, you know what I mean? So like the quality was awful if there even was anything like this. So it was just rough. So by necessity and default, I was literally in the midst of having a mental breakdown.
Wow.
And I just straight up quit. I just quit retail management and went into lawn care, which I had already started miraculously part-time that year. Like before I quit, I did it like 6 yards with my homeowner push mower, my Husqvarna push mower, my Ryobi hand blower and trimmer, that it was in the back of my Jeep Compass. Like, talk about origin story. I mean, a lot of guys have that same story, or they're doing that right now. And you can really fast forward that into what it is now, right? So 7 years later, I've got, you know, truck, trailer. I've had multiple trucks. Now I have one truck. I went from 2 half-ton trucks to 1 full-ton truck. I have had open trailers. I have an enclosed trailer now. I have the ramp rack now, which is a whole other thing that's hard to really describe on your podcast. But you can go on my YouTube channel and see videos about it. But this way you don't have to pull a trailer, and you can just put all your stuff right up on your truck bed. If you have a heavy duty truck that, you know, has certain weight capacity and all that, or you can just beef up your suspension for whatever you put in there. And this way you don't have to worry about pulling trailers, and it's so much easier in so many ways. So, and then I've got a crew. You know, I've got a decent sized business, and I'm still growing. And my goal was and still is to get to 2 crews, and we do lawn maintenance. So very little landscaping. It's landscape maintenance. So we'll trim your bushes if you need us to. We'll obviously put fresh mulch down every year. Keep your mulch beds clear and clean. But as far as anything beyond that, you know, I have landscapers that have crews that dump trucks and trailers that will come out and plant trees and rip things out and you know, install mulch bed, all that kind of stuff. I'm not doing any of that. It's all about the maintenance, you know, mowing the lawn, treating the yards, obviously cleaning up the leaves in the fall, aerating and seeding, dethatching, you know, everything grass basically is kind of like the slogan. So that's where I went. But yeah, as soon as I transitioned to that, it was like everything was falling into place for my business. Like, I spent more time. I went on more field trips in the first year for my kids than I had their entire existence.
Wow.
In that first year, because I was able to control my own schedule, and I was able to just do what I wanted to do for once and still make money. Now, mind you, my wife is working full time. If she wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to do that, because we still have bills to pay, right? So her income plus what I was able to generate my first year was enough to still get by. Plus I had all that vacation time that I couldn't take, right? In retail, they give you all this accumulated time, and everybody else wants everyone's fighting for their time off, and every other weekend's like a damn holiday that they make up. Like, oh, this is blacked out because this is some, you know, Joe Blow's holiday. Like, what? Like, come on, can I get a weekend off, like, ever?
That
you know, so it was crazy. So I had all that vacation time saved up, and I had like 2 months worth of pay, basically. So I was able to continue helping my wife pay our bills just with my vacation time, because the company I worked for pays it out if you quit or get fired or whatever. So that was fortunate. It was kind of like a little savings. So that worked out. And that gave me the time, because I quit over the winter, like right after the holidays, I quit. And that gave me the winter to really put my head down and grind it out. and really build my business from part-time to full-time. And that's also, I kind of stumbled upon YouTube and the community and all that too. So that when the spring hit, I could just hit the ground running, which is what I did. And I haven't looked back since.
When was this again? This was back, you said 10, 15 years ago. So, or how long have you had your lawn landscape business?
No. I started my lawn care business 7 years ago. I was saying like 15 years ago was when I started thinking about it. But like, I was just like, I don't really think this is going to be possible. And it kind of went in the back burner. And then I just like suffered and struggled in retail for another, however many years, another 7 years or whatever the heck it was. But I remember, my son's 15 now. So he was just a baby at the time that I was like even thinking about this. And tons of years went by again before I finally just came to a breaking point. Because I went to another company. I thought maybe it was the company, not necessarily retail. I finally realized that it was ultimately retail. It was ultimately that profession that just wasn't a good fit for me. It's a good fit for some people, obviously. Someone's got to do it. I mean, you got to be able to buy your stuff somewhere, technically, I guess, right? But it's just not. It's just hard to have a family and to balance that. When you're in that kind of fast-paced environment. So it just wasn't for me. My life just changed, and I wanted to focus on what my family and doing what I enjoyed. So that was like 15 years ago when I first thought about it. But 7 years ago was when I started my business.
Wow, that's crazy. What was the passion behind having the prettiest lawn on the block? Because that's like, was it just like you see these homeowner lawn care guys on YouTube, the Ryan Norris and the Alan Haynes, and they're great dudes, good buddies of mine. Love those guys. We're gonna get Alan on the show here in a couple of weeks. And so were you like that, like zealot, kind of crazy, like yard of the month club guy, and then that kind of turned into a passion, and then what did it like parlay into you taking care of like 3 different neighbors or something, and then you're like, I can make a go of this, or what was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, no, that was exactly, except for the taking care of the neighbors, that was exactly the mentality, like Alan and Ryan, like I just was obsessed, and I still am, and I live vicariously through everyone else's lawns and mine now. But at the time that I started my business 7 years ago, we lived in a townhouse because we had just moved to Virginia. I'm actually originally from the state of New York.
Oh, okay.
So that's a whole other thing that not everyone probably knows, but I'm actually a New Yorker, born and raised. But at any rate, we moved down to Virginia because we wanted more of climate change. We wanted to experience all 4 seasons. My wife and I always love the outdoors. In New York, you have like, two seasons, right? It's either hot or cold, summer or winter. That's it. You have a tree, you have a day transition. Hey, it's fall for a day. Oh, no, now it's back. Now it's winter again.
That's Michigan.
You know what I mean? Like, so we're, yeah, exactly. So we're like, we need to not be so north. Let's move a little further south.
Sure.
I want to go to Florida. She thought that was too far and too hot all the time. So we met in the middle, and we figured like the Carolinas, Virginia, let's figure it out. And a lot of different things came to play, and how we settled on where we are now. One of the things is they have a really great school district around here too. So that was important to us when our kids were really little. And we're like, if we want to move, it's now or never before our kids get too old and get friends and established. Let's just move now and do it. But anyway, so yeah, we moved. We moved down here. We're not originally from here, but oh man, I'm losing my train of thought. What? Help me out. What was I talking about?
Well, how you guys started? No problem. How you guys started in the industry? So you were like caring about your lawn, caring about the neighbors or something, and then
yeah.
But did you have like,
I'm sorry.
Did you have like a commercial mower, or did you like the 1 year?
No. I just had all the one I started my business with. It was the same exact one, the little Husqvarna residential, self-propelled push mower. So yeah, that's what I was saying. So when we first moved to Virginia, we lived in a townhouse because we were just trying to get our feet wet before we like found a house or whatnot.
Sure.
So it was zero maintenance. So another company came and took care of the whole HOA. So I would just like watch them and get tips from them and stuff as I was starting my business. But I couldn't even take care of my own lawn. So I had to live vicariously through them and the lawns that I took care of. Now we have a house with my own lawn that I take care of. So that's
sorta.
Back to that. But
Paul said sorta. Paul is calling you out on his podcast, and he goes, "Man, I pull up this beautiful home in this beautiful subdivision, expecting like this is where Naylor lives, and then I see his Ram in the next driveway, and he goes, goes, well, that can't be Naylor's because the lawn looks like it hasn't been cut in 6 weeks. And then you come running out with your camera in tow to vlog like a YouTuber. And he's like, wait, he's like, wait a minute. So we're Paul threw you under the bus, not me. You know what I'm saying? So don't you know? You can't.
Yeah, I know. He's all about that. We had a good time. It was funny. He was giving me a lot of slack. I'm like, dude, I didn't have time to mow it before you came, man. I mow it on Mondays, and you came on Monday. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I have to work, you know. But anyway, and the neighbors had just gotten theirs mowed on Monday, so it looked fresh and crispy. He was assuming that was my yard. Like, I got a fresh haircut just before he got here or something.
Dude, that is funny.
So anyway, yeah.
Well, it's like the plumber's got leaky faucets and leaky toilet, you know, and then it's
exactly.
like the hairdresser's always got like unkempt hair, you know, whatever. But it's funny because I take care of my mom's lawn, and it's like I cut it every 2 weeks, and she's like, it's like 9 inches tall. You're gonna come by, and I'm like, yeah, that'll be mowing tall grass video, you know. It's like 9 inches, but whatever. So I'm like, I'm letting it grow long for some other reason, but that is fine. Well, he also said that he didn't know that you lived on the lake. He didn't know that you had a lake home, and he said you have quite the palatial estate. He said this is the lake life, and so he didn't know if you had a boat and some jet skis, and you got to redeem yourself because by the time this episode comes out, Paul's will come out before yours, so you can. You got to preemptively figure that one out and clear that one up, because Paul said that you said that you have this lake. He said you had this lake, and as he went in the backyard, he said it was a creek and a river, and so you were like all proud of this lake life, and so I don't know, is there a lake there? Is there a creek or what? I don't know. I've never seen it, but your backyard looked really pretty with the fire pit. But so are you living on the lake, Naylor, officially? Or can you either confirm or deny, or how's this work?
Yeah, so technically what they marketed it as when they were building the houses on this side is it's waterfront property, right? Waterfront.
So no lakefront.
That's how you can clarify. Yeah, no pond front, no creek front, no retention pond front or lakefront, just waterfront. That's how they market it. But the fun fact that I told him when he was here, because most people don't know this, we had to research this ourselves, because there's another body of water not too far from us that some people would call a lake, some people would call a pond. And we're like, well, what is it? What even is the difference? So I don't know if Paul clued you in on this, but do you know what the difference is, Brian, between a lake and a pond?
A lake I think it was like the same, question about the cave and the cavern, because I listened to Paul's episode. And you're like, one's got two entrances, and I'm like, random fact of the day.
Exactly.
So if you guys learn it, we hope the podcast is educational. We don't know if we'll teach about lawn care and making money, but we'll tell you the difference between a cave and a cavern. Which, by the way, Naylor, let's start there. Because you host the rally, you need to educate us. What's the difference between a cave and a cavern, bro?
Well, a cave has one entrance and a cavern has more than one.
Okay.
So the mega cavern where we hold the rally has multiple entrances. And apparently it's like a big deal. Like they get all upset if you call it a cave and not a cavern. This is how I know, because they told me this. Like, do you know the difference between a cave and a cavern? Like, I didn't look this up. They just told me. And I was like, no, I have no idea. It's not something I even really think about.
Why would I care?
Thing. Like, no, a cave. Exactly. Like a cave is one entrance, which if you think about it, that's why they're dangerous, because they can, that one entrance can collapse and you're trapped in a cave. So a cavern just has multiple tunnels and paths and ways to get in and out. So that's the difference. Which is what we were in.
So a pond versus a lake, I would imagine like a pond has no way for the water to escape, and the lake has water coming into it or something.
No, that's a good guess, though. No, it has to do with the depth. It has to do with the depth.
Okay.
Yeah, most people will think a pond and a lake have to do with the size, like the overall size. Like you could have a massive pond and a small lake. You normally think a large body of water is a lake. Like, man, I can't even see the other side or whatever. But, that's not the case. You can have a small lake and a big pond. It's just about the depth. So ponds are shallow and lakes are deep. So the deepest point of the body of water is what makes it. And I still to this day, I keep forgetting to look up the exact depth, but let's just say it's like 8 feet. But there's a specific number that that transitions from a pond to a lake.
I think
so that's the difference. So
I think Google said between 6 and 9 feet, then it turns into a lake from a pond. So that's the official.
There you go. There you go. You're over there researching. That's awesome. Yeah, you're checking the checker.
Yeah. We're fact checking the fact checkers, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, this is good. Well, I didn't know that we had such a distinguished guest on who had lakefront property. This is good because you're balling, dude. Like I think that's next level, man. And so this is we're getting educated as we learned about Naylor's startup story and also where he lives with his Palacio estate. And dude, I'll tell you what, Paul was just laughing so hard on the episode we just did announcing his fall tour, and he was like, Naylor hoodwinked me, man. He said he had this huge lake out back, and Paul's about ready to go jump on the jet skis and take the pontoon out. And then he gets back there, and it's like this ding 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 ding, kind of sound. And but he said your outdoor patio was really cool. The fire pit, the patio. He said that was like your new thing out there the last year or two or whatever you put in. And
we just had it built. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you probably did you do that, or did you have somebody else do that?
Jokes. No, we had somebody else do that. My wife was like, asked like, dude, do you want to do this? Like, we can do this, right? Sure we can, honey. Like I have time for that too.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna have to watch a lot of YouTube videos, so, or just like fly Caleb out here and have Alden do it for me, because there's no way I'm gonna do this thing, man. Or if I do, it's gonna be a mess, and then we're just gonna be upset. And it's just I was like, can we just save up some money? We wanted to do it like years ago.
Sure.
Thing, but I mean, it's all about priorities, like furniture and priorities. So we just took away with those things little by little, and then
no, for sure.
With the whole COVID-19 thing, things change, and it's like, I guess we're not going on vacation. So what are we going to do with it? Which is why, in a lot of cases, this industry really took off, because people were home and they're seeing like they're not happy with their landscape, or they're redistributing the money that they were going to spend traveling or whatever, but everything got canceled. So like, well, let's just get lobby blah done. Let's put in a tons of pools are going in, around all over the place, like all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of like us, like, why don't we just use that vacation money and finally get this patio? So that's what we did.
No, smart, dude. Super smart. Yeah. I see people building that stuff left and right around here. And between the money they save by not going on trips, the money they're making from, unemployment or the stimulus money, that's cool. God bless. So there's a lot of that going in. But I appreciate you educating on us the difference between a pond and a lake, and then a cave and a cavern, which by the way, might be a good transition that Paul's always giving me crap for. He's like, man, you got to polish up those transitions, buddy. I'm like, yeah. But we do want to hear a little bit more from GIE Plus Expo with their new GIE to go program and the app and all the information they got going on. So let's do this. I want to, we're going to pivot here. We're going to talk a little bit more about social media, the fall road tour that you're partnering with Paul on, which is super exciting. We've got maybe just a little bit more about the origin story of the rally. And then I want to just maybe highlight the Get to Know the Pro series, because I know you did it round 1. There's a round 2 coming. So let's do this. Let's take a quick sip of water. Let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer. He's going to talk a little bit more about GIE Plus Expo to go, and we'll come right on back.
Thanks much, Brian. I do have the latest for all of you on this really cool thing our friends at the GIE have going on. But do you have time first for a story? I kept hearing about Rick's mowing and Chuck in the truck so much that it was just driving me crazy. And one day, while listening to Naylor Taliaferro on another show, I said, Eureka, that's it. Naylor with the trailer. So I called up my buddy Paul Jamison and shared my idea with him, and he got defensive, actually put me in my place and said even though Naylor calls himself the lawn care rookie, that he's actually one of the best in the biz. Paul was just standing up for his buddy, but then on his next podcast episode, what does that joker do? He drops Naylor with the trailer and just starts yucking it up and laughing and having a good time. Well, more of Fullerton Unfiltered when Brian and Naylor return in just a moment.
Are you ready for GIE Plus Expo?
What?
Yes, GIE Plus Expo is coming to you now. It's GIEExpo2go.com, your new online connection to hundreds of new products, industry resources, and solutions to help you grow your business. GIE Expo to Go is packed with your favorite exhibitors' latest innovations, demo videos, event links, and more. Plus, you can set up your own My2Go show planner to gain exclusive access to show specials and discounts. Test Jet is all free. So what are you waiting for? Go to GIEExpo2go.com and start exploring today.
My wife is always telling me that if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. That's why you need to grab the new residential contract today at the Lawntrepreneur Academy. It's Mr. Producer, and if you want to secure your work for the upcoming year and lock in customers for guaranteed work, then this $25 investment in your biz is going to pay huge dividends. Some of you I know are a la carte, sort of a mow and go type of lawn care business owner, and if that works, awesome. But we know that many of you guys wanted something a little more formal, something that guarantees rates and work, a contract that has some attached legalese and fees, of course, in case the customer doesn't pick up the dog mess, something that's easily spelled out for them that's their responsibility. Snag this downloadable residential contract today to help secure business and also give your customers confidence that they've signed up with a professional outfit. There's different sections of the contract that you can modify, adjust, or remove entirely, all based on your market, your region. I do hope you've got contracts to secure your commercial business. If not, Lawntrepreneur Academy can certainly help with that as well. But now you can have the confidence to lock in your residential customers with this fully customizable resource exclusively at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com.
All right, good deal, guys. We'll always appreciate Marty bringing you guys the show sponsors, the show notes, news and updates, and everything else that we got going on with the show. Couldn't do it without him. So thank you so much to him for quarterbacking the show. All right, so Naylor, let's get back into talking about Clean Cutz Lawn Care, man. That's your actual business name. Any other nuggets, really quick, as we kind of button that up, that you wanted to leave these guys? Retail management background. A lot of people work in the Costco's and the Targets. Any final tips or ideas you'd give them if they wanted to transition out of that retail job before we button that up and we move to the next topic?
Probably just kind of to reiterate, some of the key points of what I did, and I try to remind people over the years that follow me on YouTube that, or over the years, different people have followed me on YouTube and they may not have heard this particular part of the story. And they like you said before, right? They see the now and they don't necessarily, they didn't see the iceberg underneath, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They just see the tip sticking up or whatever. So, like I said just a little while ago, one of the biggest things was my wife had a full-time job. So had she not had a full-time job, it's not like some people don't realize this. Like they think that I just quit retail and just had this awesome, lawn care company right out the gate and was
mm-hmm.
making tons of money and was supporting my family. And that's not how it was at all. It was a struggle the first year. I mean, not a struggle. I made enough money to help pay the bills, but it's not like I immediately replaced the income I was making in retail management is the point.
It was
so it took a few years to get to that point, but I was able to quickly dive in and just really, you just get after it with just various things that we all talk about, that you guys talk about on your podcast and everything, with marketing and, networking and upgrading equipment and working on, your numbers and pricing and all that kind of stuff that goes into the business. I did all those things also, and then a lot of it was from the community that I stumbled upon. So I would just say, make sure that a lot of people say get the boat as close to the dock as possible, right? That's a good analogy for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Don't try to jump in that boat. It's too far. You might fall, and if you can't swim, you're going to drown. So you got to make sure that you just have all your ducks in a row, all these different expressions, just to make sure that you're not making an irrational decision. I mean, I was very passionate about lawn. Like I said, when you would ask me about that, like Alan and Ryan and everyone, I just loved grass. And then I just wanted to turn that into an actual business to get out of retail. And because I thought it'd be fun. I mean, and also I'm a businessman. I've managed big companies for 15 plus years, as a mm-hmm. store manager, assistant manager, all different levels of management. So I just was like, well, I just would rather manage my own business. You know what I mean? It was kind of like an easy transition. I really just had to learn the lawn care landscaping aspect of it. I went from a homeowner to how do I be a professional at this now? How do I be, get the pricing right and the right services and the timing and the scheduling and all that? That was the stuff I had to learn. But the whole business back end stuff, that was already ingrained in me from 15 plus years of doing it for other people. So that's another thing. So it really is unique to everyone's situation, but definitely make sure that you know what you're doing. You have a plan, financial plan, how you're going to pay your bills, how, what's your business going to look like. I had a 5-year plan right from day one, and then another 5-year plan after the first 5 years. And I just keep executing that plan. There's hiccups along the way, and you're going to adjust your plan. But the ultimate goal was the same. In 5 years, I wanted to get to 1 crew, and that's what I did. And then the next 5 years, I want to get to 2 crews, and that's what I'm working on now. So it's just, that's always been the goal, and working backwards, like people say, like that's my ultimate goal, is to have at least 2 crews, 2 to 3 self-sustained crews with crew leaders. And I'm just in the background, helping them out wherever I have to, but I'm not in the truck all day, every day. So that's always been a goal, because that's just me and my business mindset. And I don't want to be 80 mowing lawns by myself. I mean, I don't know if I'd be physically capable. Hopefully I would, but I don't know. That's not a good, you don't want to hope. That's not a good business plan. Hope is not a good business plan. So you have to actually have a strategy. So that's why I had that goal to begin with. And I have fun managing people and being a leader and all that. I just love that atmosphere, because I did it for so long. And I feel like I kind of have a natural tendency for that. So that was it. So I had the goals and working towards the goals, and the financial planning, and making sure that you are ready for that leap so that you can be as successful as possible.
I like it. I think that's sage advice right there, especially from the horse's mouth. I have a gentleman that we do a lot of coaching with, and his name's Roger, and he was working at Costco, and great guy. He's actually been a guest on Paul's podcast, and same thing. He had like this window with some PTO, like not a severance, but like they were like giving them some unemployment type deals with, they were just didn't have any hours, but they were still paying some of these guys a little bit. It was a really unique situation, which is why he did a coaching call with me. And then I think 1 or 2 with Paul. And him and I talk like once a month. And he was like, well, he goes, here's kind of my window. Here's kind of my hole, for the shot. And he's like, I'm going to take it. And I said, if you got about 6 months to make a decision and make it right, is what I always say. And once you're all in, you can be focused all in. And so I don't think you'll ever be totally perfectly having that boat to the dock, as we always talk about. It's just like folks, Neil, you know how this, because you started, you have a family, and people are like, well, we want to have kids. And then people say, well, you're never ready. So just have them. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but I could also be way less out of debt and have $100,000 in the bank, and that was some different, that was just some stuff that my wife and I decided, like, that was what, quote unquote, the boat close to the dock was no debt and some money in the bank. And so it was like, everybody's got their own goal, but the other side of that is don't wait forever. The boat's never perfectly going to be sitting there. And even if it does, in this whimsical analogy that we're making, the boat's rocking, dude. It's on water. That's a fun analogy for you, but the boat's always moving, dude. Right. It can be against the dock, man, but that thing is still jerking up and down, So, anyway, fun play on words there, but that's some interesting stuff that maybe we can, if we can get you back on the show, maybe in a couple months, maybe in the off season. I want to press you a little bit more for how to grow your company, what you guys have been doing for experience, because I know you've been going through growing pains in a good way, and hiring, firing. So this is all really practical stuff that some of these guys I know might want to learn more about for sure. So if we can get you back on the show, I want to double down for time's sake. I want to talk about practical stuff that we got going on with you and Paul for the next about 3 to 4 weeks. Super exciting times. So give these guys a lay of the land, maybe a little bit of context here, I think would help. LCR Media. So along the way, you had said that you jumped on YouTube or even saw a bunch of these guys on YouTube and then decided to make YouTube videos yourself. And so we call this like the lawn care community. I'm doing air quotes here. And so with that, you've been around for a long while, 7-8+ years, maybe. I would say I was more like a second string, like a second wind, to this foundation that was built. But then the second round of people that kind of came through and maybe grew it a little bit bigger than the top notches or the Geek the Freaks and the Naylors, the Keys. There was a very tight knit community, Sean Spencer, and you guys were part of that. So what is LCR Media? How did you get started doing YouTube videos? And I guess a derivative of that is LCR Media. So can you give these guys a little bit more of the lay of the land about where LCR Media came from, and then what you guys are going to be doing with this fall road tour with Paul Jamison?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, basically, like you said, there was a kind of like a small group of content creators on YouTube, but a community of people out there that just were kind of, they were all out there. It's not like people just appear. They just were always looking for, the different content. And there was a small handful of people making the content. I kind of stumbled upon that early on when I was doing research, trying to like make my business better. And of course, when you Google something like how to trim shrubs or how to price trimming shrubs or whatever, a video will come up, right? On YouTube, if there's one linked. And I kept finding all these Geek to Freak videos. This guy named Geek to Freak. I'm like, who is this guy? And but the videos were very informative, and he was very charismatic, entertaining. And I saw that he was posting a lot of times when you're looking for something like how to fix something in your car or just some random stuff. There's usually a video on YouTube for it, right?
Right.
But the thing is, typically a lot of times those videos are like old and like that person never posted anything ever again or whatever. So that's kind of like the average thing when you're researching stuff. But in this case, I noticed that there was a lot of content being posted by Geek to Freak, and then we recommend other people like Keith Kelfis and Top Notch, and I'm like, oh wow, there's a bunch of different guys that talk about the same kind of thing. So that's how it all became like the early stages of the community. And I went from watching that. So I created a YouTube account so that I could like and comment and subscribe on their stuff. And then quickly within that first year, I was like, man, this would be cool if I could be like a part of this beyond just commenting. If I could just make my own videos, like I've got a cell phone, why not? I can just record stuff on there. And, no one's really talking about what I'm going through. I'm a rookie over here. It's my first year. I'm just like struggling and making all kinds of silly mistakes, but also at the same time coming up with cool, clever ways to solve problems that no one is talking about, on their on their YouTube channel. So that's when I created Lawn Care Rookie, because that was what I was, a lawn care rookie. So that's what I named my YouTube channel. And I just started posting content, started connecting with everybody and getting to know, Geek to Freak and, everyone that kept coming out, like B&B started his channel at the exact same time as me. And Top Notch, started watching my videos, was one of my first subscribers. So we were real early on, just Seth the Lawn Surgeon. Everybody was just kind of that initial, Spencer Lawn Care. And we just started connecting. And then it just evolved from there, right? More and more people got into the business. Everything grew. And then the GIE plus Expo became the next kind of evolution of that, because it went to like a live event. Like, hey, it's cool they were making videos and talking online, but there's this awesome trade show in Louisville, Kentucky every year in October. That'd be awesome if we went there. And one, the expo itself is awesome because you can see everything, you can demo everything, talk to all the execs and everybody and people that built, engineers and all that. So that's just an awesome experience too. But then we can also, like, whoever goes, we can connect and get together, like maybe get together for pizza or something after. And that became Pleasure Rich Pizza Meetup the first 2 years. Sure. Where there, right down the street, there was a pizza place, and it was a large enough venue. They had outdoor seating and indoor seating for 40 or 50 guys and girls to get together and hang out, that we connected on social media, and now we got to meet each other face to face. So that's what it was. The first couple of years, there was just a small group of people, and I went the second year, and I haven't stopped going since then. That was probably 6 years ago or something like that. Sure. And I met Geek to Freak and everybody that was in the community then, and still now. That on that trip, and that really impacted me. And when Geek to Freak and some others kind of like left the community and just kind of stopped making YouTube videos for lawn care and landscaping and kind of started doing other things, I was like, man, I don't want this to kind of die out. Like this is really like a thing. So I was asking Keith and Stan and everybody, like, hey, are you guys going to the GIE next year? Or are we gonna meet at Pleasure Ridge? And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, all right, well, maybe we can organize this and, kind of make it bigger and better. And I created a Facebook group, Road to the GIE, which has become the new destination, even for the GIE Expo themselves. Mm-hmm. They go on there and they answer questions and they interact with people. And it's just an awesome experience. But it was a way for me to kind of streamline all the communication for the GIE on one location. And then I posted an event for the Pleasure Rich Pizza meetup, and it was crazy. There was like 150 people there, and it was like people all over the place, sidewalks, parking lot. It was way beyond capacity. They couldn't hold all of us. So that's when I thought to myself, maybe we should try to find a bigger place. And that same year, a couple of different brands reached out to myself, and Stan and some other influencers, and we kind of, they wanted to be a part of it in some way. They wanted to come give out some free stuff like Skag and Toro and a couple of Echo those were like the early adopters there. Like they jumped on board. We're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. That's cool. Like really, these brands want to be part. They recognize, they pay attention. Wow, that's awesome. At the time, it was shocking because that wasn't even a thing. You know what I mean? There was nobody working with anyone, no one getting paid for anything, no one had discount codes, no one got free stuff. It was just like a totally new thing. So we were super excited about it. And they came and they were like, man, this is awesome. You know, maybe next year we can help you guys, you know, make something bigger. And I was like, all right. So I called them out on that over that winter, and we worked together, and I got some sponsors such as Echo and Toro and Skag and a few others that have changed over the years. And we moved to the Mega Caverns. We found this awesome, unique venue that is like an unlimited amount of space for us to keep growing. And we quickly went from 300 that first year that came, because again, I keep posting it on the Facebook group, and everyone shares that group and talks about it, so that we have that one destination to go to kind of like see dates and times and who's going to be where and what's going on at the GIE and all that kind of stuff, any announcements and all that, plus the rally itself. And so that helped kind of bring people to that and bring attention to that. So it went to 300 people that first year. And now going all the way up to last year, we had over 600 people show up. I had multiple rooms in that. If you remember, it was just all over. Like we took over like the whole cavern.
That was huge.
The whole section. We were just hanging out. So yeah, we went from one room to like 2 rooms, and then the whole central area, and they just shut it all down for us. So
that's incredible.
But during that, So during that process, to answer part of your question, was I created LCR Media because it's like a business. Like, how am I supposed to manage all of that, right? Like, how am I, getting money from the different brands to pay for this and pay for that, pay for the venue, pay for the catering, pay for the shirts everybody gets, put their logos on it, all this stuff. There's a whole separate business. So I wanted to make a whole separate business entity. And plus there was YouTube, and I was getting some kickback from that. And at the time, I was just kind of going into, my lawn care account. I'm like, this is an accounting nightmare. So let me just separate those two things and create a separate business entity, which was LCR Media, which stands for Lawn Care Rookie. So I just went ahead and made that. And they kind of like the rest is history after that. I just started building on that. But from the rally was just like yourself, working with different brands and seeing what opportunities there are and different events we can put together and participate in and demo different equipment, and all these different things. And it's all under the umbrella of LCR Media, as well as creating original content. So one of the things I really wanted to do from an early stage was collaboration. I went to a YouTube event that they invited me to up in DC a few years ago for YouTubers in my category, 10,000 or less or whatever it was. Oh, cool. And I got to, it was pretty cool. I got to meet a whole bunch of YouTube, and they brought a live panel of some. So now me telling you this, you're going to be like, oh, now I see where I get these ideas from. They invited a live panel in of YouTubers, that had millions of subscribers, and they just sat there. They told us their story, and then we could just ask them any question we wanted. And there was 30 of us in the audience, and we were just chilling. And we took over this whole section of a building in DC, a couple of floors, and downstairs was a bar and food that we got to hang out and mingle at cocktail hour afterwards. So that really had my brain thinking, because they talked about several different things. It was basically the people at YouTube trying to teach us to be better YouTubers, so that obviously it would benefit YouTube and us, right? It's a win-win situation. So the more views and subscribers we get, the better they do and the better we do.
Wow.
So I was just really soaking it all in. Yeah. It was an invaluable experience. And one of the things I took away from there was collaboration, how big collaboration is. So ever since then, I've been trying to think of all the ways that I could collaborate with everyone in our community. And then laterally, people from outside the community, potentially, slightly, but not someone that talks about cats and dogs, you know what I mean? But someone that's still maybe in tools or this or that, so they're still close enough, but they have their own following, their own audience, and you can kind of cross collaborate and stuff like that. So Eric Triplett, the pond digger, out in California, and he builds ponds. A lot of guys in our industry might want to get into that, so he's got his own following, and we can kind of intermingle that. So it really had me thinking of all the creative ways, or what are the creative ways I can come up with to use LCR Media to keep building this kind of collaborative content. So that's moving forward now. That's where the road tour. So Paul Jamison and the Green Industry Podcast. I've gotten to know Paul for many years, and we've gotten to become really good friends, and he's obviously got a lot of funny jokes and things to say.
He's a joker. He's a joker.
Yeah, he is. He really is. But it's all good. It's all good fun. I give it back to him too whenever the possibility or the opportunity presents itself.
Sure.
So I got to watch him grow, with the podcast, and I really helped. I really was one of his advocates. Like, man, you really need to do this. You have a gift for gab. You really, being in radio all these years, like this is like perfect for you. It's basically your own radio show. So he did it. He's been doing great. He's been inspiring others, such as yourself, I'm sure, to help out and do different things together and collaborate. And when you went on the summer tour, it kind of really inspired me about how much fun I had when I did the Get to Know the Pro series and all the traveling I did and the collaborating that I did and all that. So when he came up here and we had a good time and I was like, man, that would be awesome to kind of do something like that again, whether it be Get to Know the Pro or whatever. And then when I was listening to his episodes back, and he just every other episode, he's like, "Oh man, my camera." Damn it. I remember listening to Mr. Producer.
They just turn him off.
He doesn't know
that they turn off.
I don't have to hear Paul. Yeah. I don't have to hear Paul one more time say, keep talking. I got to change out my battery. Or I got to change out my memory card. Yeah. It'll be a great day, a great episode.
Well, Marty,
thank you for going to help him.
Marty makes it seamless, on the podcast. But when you watch the video podcast, like Paul's like panicking and he's like looking at the camera. We all do it. But he's like, man, these fidgety things won't stay on. I'm like, Paul, they're not supposed to stay on. He's like, what? I'm like, you understand broadcasting equipment, but maybe not video cameras yet. And he was laughing. He's like, he keeps giving Marty like crap because Marty didn't come with him. And I'm like, you can't be throwing Mr. Producer under the bus like that. He's the golden voice. He's making you look good. So Paul's like, yeah, you're right. So we need somebody back at home base to quarterback the podcast. You know what I'm saying, Paul? And because Paul's listening in right now. And but you need a video guy. You need a videographer, somebody that understands cameras, because it is different. And this is at least what I've always heard. I heard this from Keith Kelf, is that when they just so everybody knows, like these cameras, they're like $1,500, $2,000 for sure. These nice cameras we all use to shoot vlogs on, and that's why I'm like, for those of you guys that support us with Patreon or affiliate codes or, just watching the dang video and hitting thumbs up, I don't even care. Watch the 7-second ad, hit thumbs up, get what you need out of the video, and then just leave a comment for the algorithm. And then bounce. That's cool. But that right there, puts pennies in the pocket to go buy these cameras. But Keith Calfo was telling me that, when they ship them over from, Japan or China or, Taiwan or Singapore or whatever, these electronic companies, it's like how they're classified. So when they send over a DSLR, it's kind of like the same thing as a video camera, but if they don't have the software turn off the camera after 29 minutes, and also so they don't overheat, then they can ship the camera, as Keith was telling me, for $1,500. But if they put the different software in to let them video record longer, then it's $4,000. So it's a business thing for taxes and tariffs and categorization about how these electronic products work. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I never would have thought about that, but it's true. All DSLRs turn off after 29 minutes. And I'm like, it's either a conspiracy or a business thing. And I'm like, oh, so you have a lot of this state of the art video equipment that, well, talk about how and why, because you made a lot of investments with the Get to Know the Pro series. And this was from about a year and a half ago, maybe. When was that come out?
2 years, I think it's been now.
2 years, okay.
Yeah, time flies, right? But
it's all a blur.
Yeah, roughly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So up to that point, when I first started YouTube, I just used my phone, and then I eventually got a GoPro, and that was it. That was all I had, and for years. And then it wasn't until the Get to Know the Pro. It was actually right before Get to Know the Pro. I finally invested in a nice Sony, whatever the heck it was, RX Mark V or whatever the heck they got Keith all excited about at that GIE a couple years ago. I was like, oh, I got the Mark V. I started dancing on my video and stuff. But, if you saw that one. But anyway, so that was my first real legit camera. But again, it was still a little cute little point and shoot camera, but I had the flip up screen and 4K and all that stuff. So it was my first introduction into a real camera versus a GoPro or my phone. So that was it. But then I did the Get to Know the Pro, and I quickly realized, one, kind of like you said, you shouldn't necessarily wait for the boat to be right there. Nothing's going to ever be perfect. So sometimes you just have to kind of go for it, right? Just take action. So I knew I didn't have all the perfect video, camera stuff and audio stuff, but I wanted to use what I had which is exactly how I started my lawn care business. I utilized what I had and built on that, invested in the best as soon as I could. So again, that's a whole other topic we can go back into another day, but I did that for the Get to Know the Pro series as well. I kind of built it like a business in that respect, where I used what I had, tolerated everyone telling me how awful the audio quality was, what I should do to fix it, and which I appreciate. People were actually legitimately nice. Some people weren't, but a lot of people were like, hey, you should do this, you should do that, use a lapel mic, and all this stuff. And I tried so many things, but all the while I was saving up a little bit of money I could, because the Get to Know the Pro was sponsored by Echo, so that I could travel, and then, whatever I got back from, my portion of that, and I would reinvest that into the series to upgrade my equipment. So by the time the end of the season came, it was a complete difference from episode 1 to, the Pond Digger episode and Caleb, Allman episode. Those are like my last 2 episodes, and that was kind of like the peak of my Get to Know the Pro series with my editing and getting everyone to tell their story, and the audio and the video. Everything was all as good as it could be to that point. And that's because I was able to invest in all this different equipment. So I've got, and you've seen it because I went, that's right. You're like, hey, you got 2 cameras? And I went to talk to you about the GIE and interview you for the GIE. Yeah. So that was kind of like almost to the peak of everything, that I had. But I was just all about quality. I wanted to make sure that I could produce the highest quality videos as possible. I really like the Get to Know the Pro series. I really like going out to people's shops and spending a day with them or 2 days with them in their life, and kind of getting that on camera to share with the community so they can help grow their life and their business and be inspired and so on, and maybe learn some tips and tricks. So I want to make sure that it looks and sounds the best as well. So so I've got all this kind of gear. I also kind of turned into a little bit of a gearhead too during that process. Sure. So I've got all this stuff, and now I'm like, man, I could totally help Paul. This would be sweet. We could travel together. We could, I can interview the guests with him. I can shoot some video and maybe get to Know the Pro episodes in there with some people that I haven't gotten on the first season and so on. Maybe recap with some other folks like Blake and people that I've already done Get to Know the Pro with. So it could be like a really good collaborative effort for podcasting, blogging, doing some Get to Know the Pros, all utilizing, the equipment that I have and the equipment that he has. So it's a true collaboration between the two of us.
That's going to be awesome, man. Well, let me ask you this. Just like the nitty gritty, where can people find, are you guys going to do like a podcast and video where that's going to go on your channel or Paul's, or are you going to do separate stuff that people, where can people find the content when it does start coming down the pike? I'm sure Green Industry Podcast, but what are you guys going to be showing on maybe your pages, or how's that going to work for what you're filming?
Yeah, so the podcasts are definitely going to be on the Green Industry Podcast, and the videos for the podcast themselves will be all the Green Industry Podcast content, and I'll be filming, for them, and just collaborating with them and producing those. Anything that I do on my own while I'm there with potentially Paul's help, being my camera grip and stuff, doing different Get to Know the Pro episodes, that will, that will be on my YouTube channel, but it will first be on my LCR Media Network, which is over on Patreon. If you go on Patreon and just type in LCR, you'll see what I have going on there, and I'm starting to build that up. And there's basically, it's going to be a variety of different content. There's going to be the first dibs on the YouTube videos for Get to Know the Pro Series 2, Season 2. So that's going to be there. Cool. If you're subscribed to that, then you can go ahead and see those first before they're unlocked onto YouTube. There's also going to be the Get to Know the Pro podcast that's on there, where there's going to be fresh new episodes, as well as extracting content from multiple different episodes, like common themes, like people talking about leaving a full-time job to going to long-term landscaping full-time. Many people have done that I interviewed on Get to Know the Pro. So I want to take all those snippets out and put into one episode so people can kind of learn from several different people how they went about it, so they might help them and so on. Or some people talk about time management. So just making episodes like that. Plus there's also some audio training there. So you can, like a podcast, you can just listen to, aeration series, leaf removal series, route density series, so on and so forth. Clients, acquiring clients, marketing, just similar training that a lot of us are doing out there, and just putting that all on there in different varieties so that people can watch videos, they can listen to audio, and it's all going to be on there fresh and early before it'll be anywhere else. So that's kind of get the early access. Yeah, it's just kind of a cool way to kind of connect with people. And I call it a judgment-free zone, because no hate. I mean, if a hater wants to pay to subscribe to that, to be a hater, then more power to you. I mean, you're giving me money to hate on me. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like, they can do it for free on YouTube, but they're going to have to pay me to do it now. And I could just block them and just get them out. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right,
that's a whole other story. But so it's a pretty good filter to just have the people that just want to have a good time, learn, network, make friends and so on. There's a private Facebook group, mastermind group that you have access to and all that. So that's if you subscribe to the LCR Media Network over on Patreon, and you just type in LCR. So
nice, dude.
It'll be a fun time.
Dude, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you giving the lay of the land. So when can we all expect these all this content to come out? Is it going to be within like the second week of October? Where it's already going to be probably by the time you guys are listening, some of this stuff might be permeating on Paul's podcast, and then definitely the videos take a couple days or a week to like edit. Do the deal. I always say. And so take a sip, do the deal. That's another one of our power phrases. So when can people start seeing the videos and the content on your Patreon or on your YouTube channel?
Well, that's definitely going to be probably like you said, in a couple of weeks from probably when they're listening to this episode. But I will say that, the other power of social media with Facebook and Instagram specifically, with stories and posts, we can really kind of stay up in the minute, right? You can post stuff live and in the action so that you can keep people posted and updates with what's going on. And you can also get those behind the scenes, right? So Paul and I are going to be doing tons of, Instagram stories and posting like we normally do with our everyday stuff, but it's going to be all focused on this road tour, obviously. So you get to kind of follow along. And I remember with the summer tour, everyone, like, you could just see where Paul was going. And you were like, anticipating like the next trip, like, oh, he's heading to Michigan. Oh, it's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
Brian's going to destroy him with all these jets. He's going to pass out, all this stuff. You know what I mean? So you just get all excited and pumped up. So it's going to be the same exact thing. So everyone can follow along. So definitely, if you're not following the Green Industry Podcast on Instagram or LCR Media on Instagram, go ahead and do that so you can get all of the behind the scenes, live in the moment updates and action. And, when we post live stuff, we're obviously going on there, or when we post like content on YouTube or wherever, we're going to go on Instagram stories and even, on YouTube potentially, and post stuff too and be like, hey, new video coming out tonight or tomorrow morning or whatever the deal is. So that's where we can kind of update people live and in the moment. It's super quick and easy to just put something on Instagram real quick than it is to edit a YouTube video, as you know.
Absolutely, man. Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's going to be a little bit of that lag time naturally, but that's all good. Well, let's kind of button it up right here, man. There's so much more stuff that you and I could talk history for, other cool things you got going on with your actual like lawn and landscape business. A lot of growth the last 18, 24 months for sure. We got to get you back on the show. Are you going to be around sometime this fall, winter, once we get a little bit of downtime, and we'll regroup with you?
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome for sure.
All right, man. Well, you guys hear it first. We're gonna get that little verbal commitment there, So, but I just like having fun with you guys. But well, this has been really fun, man. It's been really cool, really educational, really helpful too. So I know Paul's podcast played this week. By the way, by the time you guys listen to the Naylor's episode, Paul just received a couple $100 worth of water. I flooded his mailbox earlier today that he got delivered, like many cases of water. I told him I would do it. My only qualm was that I couldn't order pallets on stupid Amazon. Like, there was a quantity limit, Naylor. Like, what is that? So
oh my God.
I was going to ship him about 200 cases of Pellegrino, literally. And, cause that's what you do when you go, full send, as the kids say with the YouTube millions, right? I was thinking Tropic Thunder, but anyway, so you never know. You never go full. So, but I was mad because I was trying to ship him all this stuff on Amazon and send him, cause I know Paul's going to be thirsty on the road tour. Hello. He's going to be doing a lot of talking. So
yeah, he loves his water.
He loves his Pellegrino, Pellegrino Paul, and, pinkies up. And so, any which way, funny story there, but he's vlogging it on Instagram today. It'd be about a week ago since you guys are hearing the story live. And it was funny because he's like, dude, the Amazon delivery guy dropped it off at his mail room, not upstairs at his door. And I'm like, Paul, why would somebody want to carry 25 cases of water upstairs? I'm not doing that. And So literally, I sent him several. Liz was so mad at me. She gets home from up north, and she's on a little 3-day trip with her mom. She comes home. She goes, "What's this random Amazon charge for several hundreds of dollars?" And I said,
water.
I said I bought some water, and she goes, "But it's not shipping here. I see the name that you put down for the order," and I go, "Yeah." And so she goes, "You spent that much money on water for a joke?" I go, "Yeah." So I thought it was really funny. And then I'm like, the response you're giving me is not what I was hoping for. And she goes, you're such an idiot. And she walked away. And I go, "I know." So anyway, Paul, Thirsty Paul, Pinky Paul, enjoy the water. We just wanted to get him enough water to take care of him for the road tour. Okay. I'm trying to be a giver, Jeez. The wife didn't think
he'll probably be forcing me to have some. Yeah, I got too many of these. Here, drink one. I don't want any more water.
I know. I'm trying to make sure his throat doesn't get hoarse. So, all right. Well, we'll button up there. Naylor, let's do this really quick. Any final thoughts you want to give these guys? But if not, we'll wrap it up. And then also, where can people find you? Plug your Instagram and your YouTube channel so these guys can find you.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. Basically, everything LCR on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You can just put in Lawn Care Rookie or LCR, and it's going to come up. On Instagram, I have Lawn Care Rookie as well as LCR Media, 2 separate accounts, just so I can kind of separate. Lawn Care Rookie is more my lawn care business and kind of personal stuff, and LCR Media is basically all LCR Media. It's all social media stuff. Get to know the pro. Fall road tour coming up with the Green Industry podcast, any GIE, all that kind of stuff is on LCR Media account for Instagram. And the same thing with Facebook. I've got LCR Media and Lawn Care Rookie. But either way, you're going to get good content no matter what you type in.
That's awesome, dude. All right, guys. We'll give Naylor a follow. If you guys are enjoying this podcast and you appreciate Naylor, weighing in, definitely share the screenshot of the podcast like you guys have been doing and always do for us. We super appreciate the support. Tag Naylor, LCR Media. Tag us, Brian's Lawn Maintenance on Instagram, and repost. We really do appreciate that. And you guys know the podcast comes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And also, thank you so much to all of you guys that have been leaving those all-important ratings and reviews. They go a long way. Like Naylor said earlier, give us the thumbs up. Give us the 5 stars. Don't be giving us any of that negative, hater stuff or the 1 star. We don't do that. And like Mr. Producer always says, if you want to get on the show, you gotta leave a 5-star, man. So, all right, well, guys, that's it. We're gonna wrap this up here with this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered. Naylor, thanks again so much for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. We'll catch up with you soon. Let's kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer.
Ratings and reviews.
Each week, we take a minute to highlight your guys' reviews of the show.
Muchas gracias for all of these great ratings and reviews. Our first one from 67 Tundra. He labels his as 5-star Fullerton. I like that. I think it's going to be our new nickname for Brian. 5-star Fullerton. Love the content. Keep crushing it. Mr. Producer is a great addition to the team. And it's signed Josh with Show Me Mowing Snow. And he says, P.S. I'll see you at the live event 2020. Well, thank you, Josh. French's Lawn Care checking in. Best motivating podcast, bro. Hey, Brian. French's Landscape and Lawn Care here. Soon to be against the green. Lawn and maintenance. I can't express enough how much your podcast has helped me put this season into focus. I'm finishing up my first season alone in business, and I've listened to the podcast so much that I'm now out of episodes. So back to the bottom I go. I honestly don't think I'd be where I am today in this thing if it weren't for your help. Take care, my friend. Can't wait to be on the line being interviewed for an episode myself. Well, thank you. Blueprint Lawn and Landscape, realistic, positive, growth-minded, and helpful guidance. That's how they labeled it. The comment, I listen to the podcast on my mower every day. I love hearing about new strategies and equipment. Brian, you put me into Yard Book, and it's been a huge success for my business. And that was signed Lane Mobley with Blueprint Lawn and Landscape LLC. Our last one today from Fireman 2023. Thank you, Brian. Love the podcast and YouTube channel. Thank you for passing along all the information that you've learned throughout the years. It's helping make my business a success. Your positive outlook always pushes me to get to grinding. Well, thanks for those kind words, Fireman 2023. And of course, if you haven't connected with Brian on YouTube, Brian's Lawn Maintenance.
Want us to read your review next? Let us know how we're doing, and we might just read your review on next week's show.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.